specific change or their agenda? Would it be different for the economy in an advantage or disadvantage type of way?
Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
Yes, my name is Juliet Macapella, and thank you, Francis, for the work that you've always been doing. I remember when you first started, I was right in that room. My question is, how do you promote the SDG goals, Vision 2030 and Vision 2063, so that more women can really get into understanding what the vision is, and also using number 4, which is, I think, for the gender and the quality of education. So my question is, what's the Parliament doing to promote more collaborative goals in partnership? Yeah, thanks.
Do you think the move from first past the post to proportional representation gives you an opportunity to achieve your goals?
So I pick up that last one. PR tends to favour better, to produce better gender representation. You're right. In other countries, that's true. For various reasons, list of systems and so on. It's just easier to get more women elected. I'm not aware that we're proposing a move to that, though, unfortunately. So, although who knows? I think all sorts of things are changing. SDGs are absolutely very important. Our whole mission is about eliminating discrimination against women, and that certainly fits with the SDG goals. I think the key thing is holding the UK government to account for them, because at the moment we tend to think of them as sort of other people's goals rather than UK government goals. Actually, sustainable development goals are all governments and individuals. And well, what do we get? We get good representation. We get fairness and equality, which is morally right. But we also get better politics, better decision making, and so on. So I think we get better outcomes very quickly.
Yeah, I would redesign democracy, definitely. I mean, if you're going to have a constituency-based system, I'd halve the number of constituencies and have 2 seats per constituency, one for a man and one for a woman. I mean, historically, we had 2 seats per constituency. Of course, I would agree with PR, as Sam says, it tends to give better results, but none of that's going to happen. That's why we've taken the action that we think will work, or at least have some impact, which is the Ask for Stand campaign. And we will be watching how many women are allocated political seats, and calling the parties to account. I mean, we know women who stood or tried to stand 19 times, come second twice. There are women repeatedly knocking on these candidate selections, and they don't have horns on their heads or anything. I mean, it's really strange that these enthusiastic people who are participating actively in politics are not being selected. And it's down to some prejudice. So that's why we're not actually we're not fighting for democratic reform, because there are other people doing that, and we support them, but we're taking the action that we think might work. When it comes to diversity, the point really is that men and women are different. I completely agree with you there, and I understand. I think absolutely that men and women have different priorities, but they're both important, and our experiences are as relevant. And the issues that matter to women are as important as the issues that matter to men. And in fact, if we all want to be, we don't want women turning into men in order to succeed in society, either financially or parliamentarily. We want women to enjoy and relish being women, and we want men to enjoy the fact that women are women. Because what women do counts as much as men. And therefore we want to relish the diversity that the difference between the sexes represents. But just make sure that women can have the seats. Because our democracy was invented by men, as I say, a bit like society, and it needs to be redesigned and inclusive of women, and that's without redesigning democracy completely. But we do need our parliamentary systems to be welcoming, and we need our selection committees to recognise that women bring as much to our institutions as men do. Coming back to Juliet's question, as far as we want to encourage young women to get involved. I mean, it is a massive social change. It's kind of unbelievable. It's kind of unbelievable that in 2019 we're still considering encourage young women and girls saying, you know what, Parliament's the right place for you too, and you can participate when the time is right. So that, definitely education is important.
Yeah, I think just on the issue of first past the post or PR, I don't think it's sort of okay to say, oh, it's just a voting system we've got. If we change the voting system, everything would be okay. We can make changes within the framework that we've got today, and we must, as Francis said. I would also just say on the constituency thing, if you talk to MPs, and perhaps particularly women MPs, about where they think they make the greatest difference as an MP, I suppose most of them would say at constituency level. So I'm not hugely in favour of having a fully proportional system that ends that link between the MP and their constituency, or doubles the size of a constituency, so that an MP has to represent twice as many people. I think that some of the greatest satisfaction you get out of being a member of Parliament is feeling you're making a difference to the community that you're elected to serve. I think that's an important part of a representative democracy. In terms of the first question, well, we don't live in that society now where a man has to go out and hunt to support a woman and children. Many women are quite capable of supporting themselves, and many men, as Francis has said, would like to spend more time with their children. So I think there are two reasons why we need more women in Parliament, and I think it's a shame in a way that we have to carry on justifying why we need more women in Parliament. No one has to justify why we need men in Parliament, but we seem to still have to, 100 years on, explain why it is that it might be a good idea to have a few more women in Parliament. So let's just remind ourselves why it matters. We represent more than half of the talent and the passion and energy in the country, and so we should be here in equal numbers to the men in Parliament. But also, if you look at the advances in women's rights in the last 100 years, who's put them on the agenda? There hasn't been the men in Parliament. Equal guardianship of children, family allowances, changes to reproductive rights, equal pay, action on domestic violence. So many issues were put on the agenda by women in Parliament that have changed the lives of women outside of Parliament. So I would hope that in 2019 and the years to come, we don't have to justify why we need more women in Parliament, but it's taken as a given, because I think those reasons are pretty compelling.
Could rivalry and power struggle be the main reason why men are often selected? Because women tend not to agree most of the time. Do you know that?
Women don't agree with each other.
Sorry?
You mean women don't agree with each other?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder whether a part of the problem is both trying to chip away at again the rules of which we didn't expect. And I do wonder whether, given women have been in the decision making of men for hundreds of years before we had our own representation, we shouldn't set a date by which we say, if this hasn't shifted, we should have an election where only women candidates can stand and campaign for that. Because it seems to me that if you play a game according to someone else's rules, you're always trailing, and maybe we should set our own agenda and put some pressure.
Thank you. Lady at the back.
Sorry, my question is similar to Louise's. So
Just speak up.
I might be a little bit ignorant in asking, why are we constantly waiting for men to give us permission to do things? Why can't we just form a party that is just women so we can compete just like men? Because these institutions were made prior, and they're all very masculine, and all these masculine codes and patriarchy. So we could just create a matriarchy for ourselves. I mean, if we're equally as good, which I believe we are, probably even better in some aspects, why can't we just do things ourselves? Why do we always need their permission?
Right, thank you. That was 3 questions, isn't it? No, one more. Yeah, we've had 3. Yeah, sorry. Rachel, do you think women support each other? Have you had any support?
I think if you look at the history of women in Parliament and what's happening in Parliament today, all the evidence shows and history shows that women have worked together to achieve these changes across parties. So on the examples I've given on equal guardianship of children, on equal pay and family allowances, but also more recently On baby leave that Sam mentioned earlier, Harriet, Harman, Labour woman MP, worked with Maria Miller, Conservative MP, and Joe Swinson from the Leeds West, and Hannah Bardell from the SNP and others to deliver that change. And on the 29th of January this year, Tulip Sadiq was the first MP ever to vote by proxy in the House of Parliament. And when we had crucial votes just a few weeks ago on some of the Brexit legislation, when my side won by just one vote on stopping leaving without a deal, 3 people voted by proxy vote, and all of them voted the same way that I voted. And so I'm very grateful for proxy voting, because it ensured that the voices of all elected MPs can be heard in Parliament, and we don't exclude people because they happen to have had a baby in the days or the weeks, or in one case, I think the day before the votes took place. So the history of Parliament is women working together to achieve change. Now, I think in the early years it was because women found greater solidarity and comradeship from women in Parliament, whether they were from their own party or not, because many of them were ostracised or belittled by their male colleagues in their own political parties. But because, as Jo Cox said in her maiden speech, we have more in common than that which divides us, and women, I think, tend to work along those lines, try and build alliances to deliver change, because that's the way to get lasting change in our country. I've never waited for a man to give me permission to say or do anything. My values align with the values of the Labour Party, and that's why I put myself forward to be a Labour parliamentary candidate, and it's why Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May and others have put themselves forward to be Conservative Party candidates and MPs and ministers and leaders. The truth is, women's only parties, whether that was in the early years of suffrage or with the Women's Equalities Party today, don't get elected. And so, you know, and also, I'm here to represent the men in my constituency in Leeds West as well as the women. And I think that, you know, we should not be wanting to do something separate to what's happening in Parliament, but to play our full part in our parliamentary system, and to shape the political agenda and the political parties, and yes, form new parties when you think that there's a need to do so, but not to replace one type of inequality with another. You know, our country is made up by men, women, children in all types of different families, and politics should be giving a voice to all of them. Too many women have been ignored for too long, but I don't think the solution is to say we're going to do this without the men, because men also need a voice in politics, but we need equality, and that's what we're lacking today.
Yeah, I think I'd echo that really. I mean, you know, we have a party system that's incredibly gained really in favour of the 2 main parties, and sort of allowing the Leeds West and SNP and others to have some representation, but it's very difficult for small parties to break in. So the Women's Equality Party has been going for a number of years. You know, they're an established party now. They've got great leadership. They've had loads of profile, but they haven't had the breakthrough in terms of representation. And the system won't let them in, and that's fundamentally a problem with our party system. And I think even if you wanted to, what you've articulated is sort of age-old tensions in feminists. Do you smash the patriarchy and just change the whole thing, or do you try and be represented alongside men and kind of incrementally, pragmatically drive change from within the system, within the rules that they currently are afraid, which are rules that we shape primarily by men. And that's a very difficult choice, because actually if we try and do the smash the patriarchy thing and say we'll have women only candidates and set up our separate party, we won't break through. That's the honest answer. But, you know, and I agree with Rachel, I want change now, and I want equality now, and I want women's lives to get better now, rather than be able to sort of Nirvana in 50 years' time. I'd rather get the change now, and that means playing within the system that we currently have. But we can get that change. There are countries where women are equally represented. We had equal representation in the Welsh Assembly, actually, when it was first formed, 50-50 women's representation there. So it can be done. It can be done in the UK before. We can do it again, but we do need intention to make that happen.
I completely agree with Rachel regarding collaboration and women working together. My experience of 50-50 has been that we've had incredible cross-party support, and it's been really wonderful working with women from across the parties collaborating and supporting each other. Having said that, of course, women, like men, have different opinions politically, and it's important that we respect those differences, and that's perfectly normal. That's why it's quite fascinating to watch the Brexit debate and see fairly loud, at last, women voicing their opinions fairly loudly on different sides of that debate. It was quite interesting. Before the referendum, most of the coverage was actually of men's opinions of Brexit. Women had about 23% of the coverage. But since the referendum, women have been articulating themselves much more about that issue. So coming back to the WEC issue, the problem with a women's-only party, which is sort of fighting for women's issues, is that actually women need to be involved in all the major decision-making. And women's issues, of course, I don't even like to call them that, because women's issues are men's issues. I mean, they're people's issues. Parenting is a people's problem. It's not just a women's problem. Equal pay is people's problem. And men have to be involved in the decision-making regarding those. And it's really important, for example, climate change. Women's voices should be heard, because women are half the population, and they are going to affect climate change as much as men. So women need to be involved in all the major decision-making, the economy, welfare, health, because it's our world too. So I don't like actually segregating women into parties. And actually, as Sam just said, unfortunately, our parliamentary system and our democratic system doesn't actually favour that kind of approach, sadly. So the Women's Equality Party probably won't obtain any seats, won't win any seats, which is why our Ask Her to Stand programme, we're actually working with all the parties to ensure that women are given winnable seats, because we want women at Westminster, we want women to have equal seats and equal say. But there's a good thing about the Women's Equality Party is that it's raising the profile of these issues massively. So just like UKIP has not gained many seats, but it's massively affected this country and raised the profile of its agenda, and in the, hopefully in a more positive way, the Women's Equality Party will raise the agenda regarding women's issues, and MPs or candidates who start to campaign on those issues might be able to gain more votes from women if they start articulating those particular policies. So it's not to say that the party isn't useful, it's useful, but the sadness is it probably won't gain any seats because of our parliamentary system.
Thank you. Right, was there a question? Do you want to ask a question?
So this year marks the centenary of women lawyers. If you were to suggest one law that would help the agenda for women within Parliament and other areas, what would you suggest?
Another question? Anybody else? Was there a hand at the back there? Okay.
Perhaps a more light-hearted question. It's perfectly possible in the next year that the current leadership of the Labour and Tory party may well change. Can you think of people who would potentially put their hats into the ring to be the leader of those two parties, who would be more favourable, more conducive towards all women's shortlists, either as the head of the Tory party or as the head of the Labour party?
We'll go with that first, and then we'll come back. Yeah?
I think I'm going to have to ask those questions anyway.
Yeah.
Let me, but I'm not sure. Let me answer the second question. In terms of the Labour Party has never had a woman leader. We've had two women as deputy leaders, and both of them acted as leader. Margaret Beckett, when John Smith died in 1994, was acting leader briefly, and then Harriet Harman was acting leader in the Labour Party after Gordon Brown stood down as leader, and then after Ed Miliband stood down as leader. But it's a source of huge shame and regret for my party that we have never managed to elect a woman to lead. And I hope that in the next leadership contest in the Labour Party, the men will sit it out and allow another fantastic women in our parliamentary Labour Party to be leader, because this is long overdue. The party that's supposed to be the party of equality to actually get its act together and elect a woman as leader. And if I could choose that woman for me today, I would vote for Rebecca Cooper, who I think has shown huge leadership on the issue of Brexit over the last few months.
Have you got time to stay, or you?
Actually, I was going to say Rebecca Cooper too. I think that would be a great choice. And it is a shame that they would never had a female leader, because they had some great women. And I just don't understand it, because in fact they're doing such a great job in terms of female representation. But quite why they haven't chosen a leader from America or doesn't is unbelievable, really. Anyway, as far as the Conservatives are concerned, difficult to say. I mean, Amber Rudd, but I'm not sure that she will be for all the shortlists. I think they made it fairly clear, the Conservatives, they made this 50-50 candidates list, which I definitely think is an improvement, because I think once you see women on the platform, it moves away from this kind of cardboard cutter, cookie cutter thing. But at the end of the day, it'll be the electorate to decide which kind of party they want to choose. And I think this is what's really quite exciting about our current politics. Change UK is a very different looking party, and it is in fact, more than 50% women. It's looking diverse, it's very clear and very articulate, so I think they're representing a choice. They're going to be a choice in the EU elections. So politics is changing at the minute, and that's exciting. And the old established parties are really going to have to think. And this is the difference between Change UK and WEP. Change UK already have MPs with seats, and it'll be interesting to see whether the electorate support them when they campaign under a different banner. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Law for women in Parliament. I didn't quite understand your question.
So my question is, if you were to suggest a law, and it doesn't have to be on women in Parliament, just assist women in general, whatever that could be. So it could be a law against the abuse of women in Parliament, so anything that could.
Okay, because I'm so passionate about parenting and for men to be able to get involved in parenting, I think the parenting burden should not just fall to women, and that actually men and women should have equal right to parenting leave, and it shouldn't be transferable. And this is what they've done in Norway, because the problem with your women, I mean, I am a woman. When you reach a certain age 27 or so, and you're childbearing and you walk in with a marriage ring, you've got this parenting penalty, this little thing sitting on your shoulder. And like it or not, employers have a view about what you're going to be doing and when you're going to be taking parenting leave, and the burden that it might place on them. And I think men and women should have that. It's an equal responsibility. So I would like to see that kind of legislation, and I think it would make a massive difference to men and women in the country and to our children.
It's a great question. I've got lots of things I could say in response to that question. I'd say enforceable targets for parties, actually, or process, if you like. Women's Policy Committee said if we didn't achieve improvement in women's representation, we should have enforceable targets at 45%. I think what they said to women's representation, so I think we can go down that route. 50 years next year since the Equal Pay Act, and I think it's long overdue for reform or equal pay legislation. There's many things that can be done to improve access to pay, fundamentally we don't have at the moment. And much more than that. A duty on employers to prevent discrimination and harassment, to really balance power in the workplace, as well as endorsing what Francis just said. I just want to say two quick things. I think in terms of leaders of parties, I don't think the leader of the Conservative Party needs to be a woman. I think they're going to have a major problem with whoever takes over from Theresa May when that moment comes. All kinds of reasons, not to do necessarily with the fact that it's going to be a man, especially more to do with the colour of their politics, but that's more to come. I think probably much as I love Rebecca Cooper, and I'm a big fan, I think she isn't likely to be elected either. In terms of the Labour Party,
Mine was just a comment. Mine is just a comment, and it's just thinking at the future for 50-50 push. And I'm drawing back to Kigali in Rwanda at the moment. And if we remind ourselves what happened to Rwanda years back, you saw the genocide that happened. But I want to remind Parliament and everyone here today that it was the women that actually brought the quickest changes that we had. So I just wanted us to draw back in what is happening here in United Kingdom about these Brexit issues. And it's not to say compare, but let's see what is really happening and the issue on the EU. So I do sincerely believe that women will bring change if allowed to bring the changes that we want. Women for far too long have been left behind. And I also want to draw back to another comment. When I was London Regional Executive for the Lib Dems, one of the things and the biggest challenges that I faced as diversity and inclusion champion was every time I tried to put on inclusion matters for inclusion, as in everyone included, I realized the biggest challenge was even to bring those discussions was absolutely difficult because LGBT wanted to be remembered. Ethnic minority, as in black people, were left behind. Okay. And everybody needed to be included. So my question as well is, how will you enable that people understand it's not about competition, but about the need that it is important for people to be included across board?
You mentioned an interesting point. How in your research and also after your campaign, nobody's mentioned the Lib Dems. What have they actually been doing on diversity and women representation?
Well, to me, Lib Dems were historically opposed to women's shortlists until relatively recently. They made a policy change a couple of years ago to accept they needed to move down the route for women's shortlists, particularly at a point when they had no women in Parliament, they had a bit of crisis, they'd lost lots of seats, just after the coalition government, and then they decided actually they did need to go down the route for women's shortlists. There's some notable changes in mind within the party. We've shifted their position on that, sort of like later, for example, now advocates it. So I think it's interesting that, ultimately when people really feel they have to overcome the problem, that then is seen as an active solution. In terms of diversity and representation, it's absolutely right. We need women in all their diversity. It's absolutely fundamental. It isn't just about one type of man or one type of woman. It's absolutely about ethnic diversity, LGBT representation, disabled women, trans women. We talked about them. They're absolutely getting trans women into Parliament as well. So we need to really understand and value diversity and see society reflected in our politics.
Yes, we absolutely. We want women in all their diversity. We recognise that some women face multiple hurdles and therefore need more help and support. And as a campaign, we're out there to support them. So we really try to encourage all women to participate and support them as much as we can. I just want to mention the law. As you say, it's 100 years since women were actually participating in the law. And it's a slight plug, so forgive me, but we're having an event on the 13th of May with Rosie Duffield is hosting for us, and Vicky Ford will be on the panel, and about 3 female judges to talk about the impact that women make on legislation and the law, the field of the law. So it would be great if you want to come on to that.
Do you know who they are, the judges?
No, I don't. We'll have to have a little look at our Eventbrite. Have a look on Twitter and our website.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Can I have the lady at the back there, please? She hasn't actually asked a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what you think about people, for instance, so Justin Trudeau, he was elected Prime Minister, one of his campaign promises was a 50-50 cabinet, and he fulfilled that. I know a lot of people criticized him then, saying, well, why don't we pick people on capabilities rather than gender? I was just wondering, how would you respond to that and argue that 50-50 campaign is a good thing? Because a lot of people would criticize that.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Justin Trudeau, he's a fabulous PR guy, okay? So, and he got so much press for that. It was wonderful. 50-50 cabinet. But actually, if you look at the stats, in terms of parliaments, Canada's way down in terms of female representation. So I think this is a tricky one, because if you do actually manufacture a 50-50 cabinet when you don't have 50-50 representation, that can lead to problems. I think it is problematic. So we're not calling for 50-50 cabinet, we're calling for 50-50 on the back benches, the front benches, and on all sides of the House, and both houses, by the way. Should be easy in the Lords because you can just appoint them. Yeah, it's worse in the Lords. I mean, you know, women are outnumbered 3-1, and yet it should be an easy problem to fix, except, of course, the House suddenly it would get a lot bigger. I can't remember exactly how big. But anyway, but coming back to this thing of meritocracy, this really, as you say, we want the best. Of course we want the best. We want the best of both. We want our Parliament to draw upon the widest possible pool of talent. 32 million of those people happen to be women, and they're 50% of graduates. They're 60% of law graduates. And if they're choosing not to participate in politics, we need to ask why. Because we're missing out on this diversity, and we're missing out on this talent. So it depends upon your view. We want the best institution, and the best, the best decision making draws upon diversity. And so that's that's how we would refute the meritocratic argument. And I think I applaud really what Justin Trudeau is trying to do, and he's a proud feminist and all that. That's great. But he needs to get his backbenches full of women too.
Just on the meritocracy point, we don't select people on merit now. We're meant to disproportionately represented. That isn't because of merit, right? That's because the system that's gauging their merit is fundamentally not meritocracy. So we have to crack that argument the other way around and say, we all love people to be selected on merit, so let's change it into a better system. And that's easy for us.
They're selected on the old boys network. It's about money and time, coming back to your point. And women have less money, they're paid less, and they have less time because they do most of the unpaid work. So this is the problem. And therefore we need to make sure that we're sharing the unpaid work and we're giving women the opportunity to earn. These kind of social and cultural changes tend to happen better when you have gender equality of representation.
And I'm just interviewing
Yes.
and intelligence, I'd like to
Any
add
other
that.
questions or points?
Yes, please.
Be quick, but it's
two things: housing law and health. Housing law is so misogynistic; it's unbelievable. And unless we get a major change in housing legislation, we've got a big problem. The other thing is, I just wondered whether there was anything bubbling in the background on the agenda about the recent withdrawal of funding to the NHS for complementary medicine, herbal medicine. There are a number of things that they will not pay for. And under Article 8 under the Human Rights Act...
We're going to, at the end of this meeting, we're going to have a networking, so we can discuss those points now, because this is more on women representation. We can come back to your point.
But the point is that the women are the considered to be the primary carers, and when you can't choose, when you're forced to take
Can we come back to that, please?
medicines...
Can I have a question behind you, please?
Yes, start with the mention about the quota system. I just think the quota system, we should have a different system, biased, unfair. But I do not believe any quota system should be perpetual. So what kind of condition you would set for this system to be terminated?
Well, we've always said time limited use of quotas. There's sunset clause now, and if you look at legislation on all these shortlists and sunset clause, and that means that the legislation will cease to take effect on a certain date, and as they extend this deadline, that sunset clause, that's how it operates. So we've always argued that it's an intervention, it's an imperfect intervention. You would rather not have to use it, but in order to overcome bias and discrimination that's inherent in the constitutional dealing, you need
you know, a few years more women's shortlist, coming back to this point of a women's only election, yes, you know, let's have an election where it's only women on the shortlist for the seats that become available. Even the Conservatives have had a women's shortlist in some cases because the best candidates have all been women. I mean, surprise, surprise. So, I mean, yeah.
Any other questions now? Do you want to ask a question? Yeah.
Thank you. I have one question. Are you people in collaboration with other charities beyond UK? Because why am I asking this question? One, today in the parliamentary politics globally,
yep,
whereby you need to have other women beyond United Kingdom.
Correct.
Have to rise up, you know, into their seats, because at one time, your decisions will be determined by other decisions outside the United Kingdom. So are you in collaboration with other charities or other organizations that, you know, have the same values and visions?
Yes, actually, through the British Council, we've recently been invited to speak to a group of Lebanese women who completely love what we're doing and have started to implement some of the ideas in Lebanon. And at various meetings I've met with women from other countries. But to be very honest, there's so much to do here that there's not really, I don't have the time or the resources. I mean, we're unfunded at the minute. It's just volunteers. So we're in a difficult position. But the wonderful thing is that we work closely with the Forces Society, who've been incredibly supportive, and the Centenary Action Group, and the Joe Cox Foundation. There are many other charities out there who are supporting us, and collaboration is key, you're absolutely right, and I would love it. We would love this all to be much more international. But, yeah, we'll see.
We're a UK charity, the UK Foundation, so all our work is very much focused on the UK, but like Francis, we've worked with the British Council, Westminster Foundation, obviously. We were also representative at the event that was organised in November, where 100 women from all over the world came to sit in our British Parliament. I'm proud to say my daughter had a hand in organising it, so there you go, I'll get a bit of credit for that. But it was really, really important because it was a really valuable exchange, sharing of experiences and ideas, and I think we need to do more of that. The struggle for us is similar to Francis, we haven't got the resource, and technically our charitable purpose is very UK focused, so we have to be careful about where we put our
Okay, I think yes.
Really random, sorry. How do I get a t-shirt?
Thank you for asking. You've made my day. You just go to our website, and I think it says shop at the bottom, and it's on Etsy. Yeah, and we've got a little shop manager now who's a volunteer, but she loves it when we get orders. She puts them in an envelope and she'll send it to you.
Okay. Any other, shall we end the meeting now? Yeah? You can have an opportunity to network and raise your voice and so no more questions, yeah? Thanks, you. Thank you.
Sorry? Sorry? Do you want to say something? No, I'm okay, thanks. Have you recorded the whole thing? Where are you from? What organisation?
Francis.
Oh, you're one of Francis'?
Yes.
Right, you are.
So just Global Net 21 and of course 50-50 Parliament. Very, very interested in women's politics, and I tell you what, it's absolutely been wonderful here in Parliament just to see the participation of people wanting women to get into Parliament. So talking to you live here in London, UK Parliament, Portcullis House in Wilson Room here today. Well done to everyone who's attended. Many, many thanks for coming in to push and of course listen to the debate of Women in Politics Parliament. Your one and only Juliet Macapilla here in Parliament. And thank you to all the MPs who have answered all the questions. We appreciate you, and thank you so much to Global Net 21 for the work that you're doing. And of course, Francis, lovely to see the work that you're doing as usual. Your one and only Juliet Macapilla. Thank you. See you later. Will women be in Parliament. How do we look after women is a question I'm also asking. And of course, many other groups in the community. Let us be the people and change that we want. Yeah, cha.